So this is a live Q&A session. Welcome if you are watching the replay and here live. And let's get started with the first question. Use that comment area if you want to respond. Please add it to the comment section. A question that I got, and I get quite often, is that someone asked, I find it difficult to connect with my art audience. What can I do? Anyone can relate to that? That you're finding it difficult to connect your art with the right art audience. And this can have a variety of reasons. And I want to share a little formula with you so that you can check up, maybe this is you can relate, what you can look at to see how you can start connecting with your art audience, selling your art more effectively. The clue is the word OMA. Now, if you're Dutch, I don't know if you can see that. If you're Dutch or Afrikaans, then that word means something else. It means grandmother, but that's not what we're talking about. If we were to make this into a pyramid, and we'll put at the top the O, then here we'll put the A, and we'll put the M, and here the A. So it's OMA. The first key of this three-part equation in selling your art more effectively, connecting with your art audience, is the offer. So what are you offering your audience? So that's your art, maybe your products, you have reproductions, you have prints, the offer. Is the offer share-worthy? Is the offer sell-worthy? Is your offer being priced correctly? So that is an important part of this whole story, because if your offer is not in the right place, that you're not, your work is not really at a level that that your audience resonates with it, or maybe you're still trying to discover your style, and that's totally fine. You just don't have to feel the pressure straight away after you've created, just starting with your creative expedition, your journey, that you need to sell straight away. These are seasons that you can discover your style, that you can mature, really get hone your craft, so that your skill and your taste start developing. And that all is by looking at art, making a lot of art, getting connecting with other artists, taking lessons, really getting to your art at a level that it's share-worthy. But I think that's a given, you all understand that. Then the M is marketing. So now you have a body of work, you've got a work that you're proud of, and you're ready to share it with the world. How are you connecting that, what you're making, with your art audience? The marketing, the message. And marketing can be a really scary word. What is marketing? It's all about communicating. So what are you posting on Instagram, on your Facebook, on your website? When you talk to people in person, that's marketing. That's communicating. And also the things that you're not communicating are still communicating. So be very conscious and intentional about the things that you're communicating. So that could be a reason why you're not connecting with that art audience, because the communication is not clear, or it's not defined enough. And then the third part of that equation is the A, that is your audience. Maybe you have the wrong audience on your Instagram account, for example. Many of you start out with your social media feeds, and it's friends and family and people that just love what you're doing, but these aren't your buyers. That you get very intentional about where do you see your art hanging? Where do you see your art, in what spaces, what price range, who would be your ideal audience, and where are they hanging out? Are they there on Instagram? What hashtags are they following? What places do they populate? Where would they consume art? Would they buy art directly from you? Or are they more consumers that would go through an art expert? They need that gallerist to tell them, to help them. So it's really getting very clear about where is your art fitting in and who's that audience. So not just following everyone and have everyone follow you just to get the numbers up. It's about following the right kind of people. So OMA, just look at your art and your art business. OMA, where are you in the equation? The offer, the marketing, and the audience. And if those are in sync, then there's an effectiveness in the things that you're doing, and you will start connecting and selling your art more effectively. So hopefully that answers your question. Great for the people that are joining. I'm just wondering if everyone can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if the technology is working. So if you can hear me and see me properly, loud and clear, then just give me a yes. If not, give me a no. Because I see, Aletta, you have a question about the audio. Is that me or are you asking someone else? So let me hear if you guys can see and hear me. Otherwise, you'll just be having to lip read all the time, and that would be such a pity. Yes, Aletta, I see you. Good, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself, and that won't be very fun. Next question. Is blogging a good way to increase my reach? Blogging. First, just a recap, what is blogging? Blogging is, of course, from the beginning of this millennial, when blogging became really popular. Everyone was starting a blog, writing about all kinds of subjects. And it has sort of become a little bit dusty. People think, well, why should I blog? We have social media. You can add descriptions. You can add words on your social channels. But blogging, if you do it correctly and exciting, that it's not some stuffy newsletter that you are just, having to write every month or every week, can be a great way to inform your audience and just go a little bit deeper on your website, for example. Give them background information, your process, your inspiration, and of course, you're visual artists, so you have a great arsenal of photos, of images, of process, of your personality. What can you add to a post? Because that's the blog. It's a post. You're not posting on your social, you're posting on your website, adding the right words in the right places. That can be very effective to enlarge your organic reach. So that's the whole Google story again. Because if you just have images on your website, the search bots that are determining your ranking on the Google, and Google is the largest search engine, having the right words on your website can really increase that search. So if someone's searching for a local Dutch artist, for example, or artist San Francisco or Cape Townian artist, if you've got those words somewhere on your website, also in a dynamic environment, so not on the static pages, but on the dynamic pages. So these are pages that are changing. It tells the bots searching, that you're active, that this is a dynamic space and this is a place to be reckoned with. And then also with those search words, and that's a whole lesson in itself, how to use the right words, and that you can add to your blog, because those robots aren't reading images. So make sure you put titles on your images when you are posting on your website. So it's not JPEG 350. You are adding keywords, and those keywords are words where what people are searching in the search bar. So just think, if you're looking for a restaurant, you want to eat Thai food, and you're searching online, what are the words that you need to put into that search bar? Thai food, and then your location. What would people be typing in to find you and your art form and your style and your genre? Those are keywords, and that you can add to your blog. So yes, definitely a way to enlarge your reach, but if you have to do it effectively and very strategically, but a great way to keep your audience informed and on with your process and with the things that you're doing. Another good question was, do I write my website copy in the first or the third person? Now, there are two schools of thought about this. So do you use the word I? So I'm an artist, I do this, I do that, when I went. Or do you write in the third person, when Sonia, or when Anne, or when Aletta, or when Monica? So you're writing as if you are the observer. If you're only writing your website copy, in this case, we're talking about the bots and how you're being found if people are looking for your name. If you're just using the word I in everything, I this, I that, the search engines don't know who I is. So somewhere on your website, it's good to have the third person. On the other hand, if you're just writing in the third person, it can be a little bit more distant, because it's as if you're observing. You don't feel that you are part of the story, that you are telling the story. So I always tell my students, somewhere on your website, have either on the about page or when you're writing testimonials, make sure you use your name. So it's not just third person, I. You are using first person. You actually are using your name. So hopefully that answers the question. You can use that very strategically. And yes, it's important what words you are putting out there. Hello for the people that are joining, the new people. Hello, Heidi, all the way from South Africa. Good that you guys are here. Please use that comment area if you have any additional comments or remarks. Then it's good to do this together. Next question. Art is my hobby. How do I make it my profession? I think many of you have been at that stage. Maybe you are an emerging or experienced artist, or maybe you are still in that place that you love to make art as your hobby, something that you do to relax. You've always loved creativity, something you do, as recreation. It really is something you're passionate about. And you're thinking, how am I going to make this my profession? It's a very, very exciting phase too, because there's a lot possible, and especially nowadays, you don't have to have gone to the best academies. You can be self-taught. You could have taken classes. You could, there's so much online that you could learn. You could have embraced mentors, and then, develop your style, mature your work, and then start earning a living, because that's the professional side, earning a living. For those that are working professionally, you all know that it's not an easy profession. It's something that asks a lot of time, discipline. Also, the business side, it's not just making it as a hobby when you love to do it and when you feel like doing it. When you're doing it as a profession, you have to show up. You need to have some kind of system. You have to have the discipline. You need to find ways to stay inspired and in love with the things that you're doing. And that has its ups and downs. And of course, then the side of you have to earn a living, of how you're going to create a revenue stream. So if you're thinking of, turning that hobby, something that you're passionate about, into a profession, I think the best word that I can give you is prepare. Don't over haste in a whim. Like, okay, now I've just had enough. I'm going to burn my boats. I'm going to just go for my art. Maybe that's your personality and that'll work for you, but mostly it's better to prepare and take it step by step and make a few years to make the transition, so that you may be working less in your day job with the other revenue streams that you have, and then spending more time with your art, and then slowly get more and more inside how the art market works. What kind of art are you making? What are your strengths? Where do you think, okay, I need to get my skills up a level, so that you're understanding and creating and nurturing a relationship with your artist heart, that you know who you are and what you need to have a healthy, sustainable art career. Because there's one thing, I'm not into the starving, suffering artist. It's not necessary, because you can prepare. It's like with anything in life, the more prepared you are, the more you can take those ebbs and flows. And when times get tough, you have the resilience, and that you can have more, better, fruitful and sustainable profession. So hopefully that answers your question. My core business is not generating enough revenue to support my art business. I don't know if that rings true to you, that the thing that you love doing the most, if you see your art business, you say, I'm really a fine artist. I love doing portraiture. I love, the just going into detail. Your art takes a long time to make, but it's not giving you the revenue stream. Either you're working on commissions, or you are doing free work to sell, but it's not creating revenue. I think if ever there's a time that we need to really get into the mindset that this is a business, that you are running business. And I know that there's many conflicts in that part, because we want to just be making art. I totally get that. But to have your sustainable art life, sustainable art career, there needs to be some kind of diversification. And then you need to start putting on that business hats and saying, okay, your core business, that what you love doing, your big passion, is not always the most lucrative. It's not always the thing that pays your bills the most. It could be that you need to add another revenue stream. Now you can go and get a day job or find other sources of revenue, but preferably you want to be busy in your art. So what can you think up that creates a revenue stream that supports your big passion? Is that teaching? Is that making smaller works that go a little bit faster, so you're still busy with your artistry, but that you could sell, you can, find other points of sale for that, or transferring them into products so that you can have a more steady flow of revenue, which supports your big passion, your core business. So it's really finding out, can you add something to your revenue stream? So not everything and all the pressure is just on the things that you love to do, and it's not bringing you that revenue stream. It may grow and may develop, but you need to have that diversification. I love to do many creative things. I find it difficult to choose. I think too, for a creative mind, usually you can do lots of things. You're like an octopus, you can do this, you can do that, and you're talented in many things. I know artists, they can sing, they can draw, they play the piano, they love to cook, they have all kinds of passions. That's part of the artist and creative heart. We see possibilities and potential in everything, which makes it very difficult to choose. And that means we are serving all kinds of people. We want to reach all kinds of people. We want to be busy with all kinds of art forms. We are excited and inspired by 1,001 things. And that is wonderful if, to get inspired, to see what's out there. You're inquisitive and curious. But if you're running your art as a business, there needs to be some choices, focus, creating a clear business plan, clear message, clear marketing, clear, because it's all about the other person who's on the other end, and that's your art audience. So if it's confusing for you and you're thinking, I love to do this and I love to do that, and don't restrict me, Sonia, don't put me in a corner, don't put me in a box, I just want to be busy with my art, that is totally fine, but it's not a very clever business strategy if you want to get really intentional about reaching that specific art audience or getting a revenue stream with that specific art form. So I would really advise you to have a good look at your work, where, what you get excited about the most, and then for a season, just focus on that. It's difficult. You have to kill your darlings, all the things that you love to do. You have to just put them aside and just say, now I'm going to focus. And I have made some spreadsheets of artists that are doing this very successfully. This is Amy Kiwi. She's South African, and she's a great communicator. She understands marketing. So she has got the artist and the business very well connected. If you look at her feed and her website, she works in seasons. So she's got this Sapia collection going now. She tells her story if you look on her description, that she spent a lot of the lockdown in the East Coast or the West, I'm not sure which coast of South Africa, where there are a lot of earth tones. There was a lot of that sepia, terracotta, soil, and that really inspired a collection. And so if you look at her feed, you look at her website, you look at her social posts, you look at the photography, there really has been intentional choices that she's not putting all kinds of colors, filters, communication in there. She's focusing on a collection. She's made choices, she's edited, she's become the curator of her art. And this is so important, key if you want to run your art as an art business, because your audience will understand this. The more clear you are, the more your audience will understand, and you'll become more recognizable. Does it mean you can't do, the pink, yellow, and blue on the side? You can do that. It's more like, what are you communicating? Think of that second part of this formula. That's the marketing. Marketing is communicating. How are you communicating that what you're doing with your art audience? You need to be intentional and make choices. It really will help you, and it'll bring structure to your art and your art business. So that's why working in themes and series, working in a collection can be so powerful, because you can hone in for a season on a certain atmosphere, on a certain wording that you're using. You can tell a story around a collection and a theme. So I really want to encourage you to think about this, to get out of the fog and not to be busy with too many things. It's going to make life a lot easier for you. This is Paul. He's also South African, highlighting those South African artists. And he's an abstract expressionist, and he's also chosen a style. Certain colors for his Insta feed, for the post, even if he's using quotes, there's that color that you see in his work. So there's a recognizable flow in his Insta feed, on his website, and now he's being represented by a gallery, Salon 19 in Cape Town, a popular gallery for artists in Cape Town, for South Africa. They're well noted, and there is a coherent body of work. So he has found gallery representation. He's worked on a body. He's been busy for years, really honed in his style, authentic look, wonderful storyteller if you look on his website. So have a look at other artists that you admire, artists that are doing well, that you can see their work is selling, or they have found that representation. What are they doing? What can you learn from it? How can you add that to your art business? And getting clear, making choices, being the curator is going to help you grow and get developing your art business. Is everyone okay? Hello, Manuela. Nice that you are here. Thank you for joining. Can you give me ideas? How do I develop my own authentic style? Good question. I think that was you, Aleta. Developing a style is so much about you. It's all about you. It's not something that's outside of you or that you have to go and look for. It's something that you need to hone into because it's already in you. It's inherently in you. It has so much to do with your personality. It has so much to do with your point of vision. How do you see the world? How are you looking through that lens of life? It's like a pair of glasses. What lens are you looking at? What are your beliefs? What are your convictions? What are your values? What are important to you? We're not talking art yet. It's just more about you as a person. And I really want to encourage all of you, and I do that with the students that I coach and the students that I teach in the courses. We start with you as the artist, start with you as a person, as a living, breathing human being who has something to say. Find what makes you you, and that's, whether you're journaling, whether you're writing things down, whether you are going through a season of finding, what makes you you. And then start at the same time, make a lot of art, whether you're doing it in a sketchbook, whether you're just painting and playing and exploring. It's a very exciting phase because you're exploring and no one tells you what's right or what's wrong. It's more like discovering yourself. You're excavating. You're not going outside, you're going inside, you're excavating. What makes you you? What do you get excited about? What colors do you, it's like, wow, I really love those colors. I love that theme. I love painting that subject matter. I love chiseling that kind of subject. Also go back and do some research about your past. What made you excited as a child when you were still, didn't have all those voices telling you what's right and wrong? What did you really love? What kind of music did you listen to? What movies made you cry? What stirred you? What books did you love to read? These are little hints that show you who you are. So it really is a journey of self-discovery. I have a podcast. It's podcast 16. I am a podcaster. You guys can go into my website, and there is a podcast about developing and discovering your artistic style with exercises that you can go through. There's a workbook, a worksheet. So feel free to download that and that you can work. There's different sections that you can go through that make up your artistic style. And it's so wonderful when you start realize like how you talk. It's how your personality, that all starts when you see that coming through in your art form. It's an exciting journey. I'm stuck in a certain style where I don't feel very happy. How can I change? I want to change my style, but I feel unsure how. Don't know if you guys can relate to this. I think if you've been working as an artist for a while, you can sort of be stuck in a style and it's been, selling well and people really like, wow, wonderful that you're doing, and sort of become recognized for a certain style, a certain color use, different certain palettes, certain brush strokes, certain, how you are expressing yourself through your creativity. And it can be sort of in a safe place because you know it. You know that it'll work for you. You understand how how it works, but you can also keep you stuck because we're all about growing. Artists, we're looking for edges. We function best on the edges. We want to, find the limits, look for where's the tension. The safe place is not the most creative place. So if you're thinking, I'm stuck in my style, I want to change, the most important thing is communication. So for you, it's to go into that journey. Okay, what would I like? Do I want to add another medium? Do I want to work three-dimensional? Do I want to change my color palette or totally different subject matter? Take your audience. If you've got a following on Instagram, people are following your website, you have a newsletter, you've been, communicating, take them on the journey, saying, I'm playing with this idea, I'm thinking about this. My next collection is going to be more in the ton sur ton colors, so the more muted colors. I'm going away from the bright colors. Follow my journey. This is my palette. This is what it's going to be looking like. This is what I'm going to, so communicate so that it's not like, whoa, what's happening? She's or he's totally doing something different. Take them on that journey and that discovery, because you'll be discovering new things. You'll find also new audiences, but it's all in the communication. I'm a busy mom. How do I find time to make my art? And that can be, I'm a busy mom, I'm a busy student, I'm a busy person, I'm a busy, father, I'm a busy teenager, whatever the busy is. I think the busy, we all can relate to that busy. That how do you find time to make your art? Because art does take time. It's not something that you can zip open an Insta soup and throw it in the thing and it's there. It takes time. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to develop. It's, there's not only the art, you also have the whole marketing side. You need to put your Insta posts out there, etc., etc. How do you do this? I found the more busy the person is, the more conscious they are of their time, that we get an understanding of your time. You get an understanding of what does your week look like. And those little nuggets of time can be golden because you don't take them for granted. So I found often the more busy, the more conscious you're using your time. So you're not like procrastinating and getting all distracted. I have this 1 hour every second day, or I have that 1 hour in the morning, like between whatever time before the kids wake up or after they've gone to sleep, that you can make arrangements in your household with the other caregivers, that you have this time is your time. It's golden time. It's sacred time that you can create and then make it work for you. So be very intentional how you use that time. But I know a lot of busy people that are making amazing art because they've got discipline. I know of this one artist. The kids go to bed at 8, and she's made arrangements with her husband that for a year she's going to be working from 8 to 12. So after the kids the dishes are done, she goes into her workspace and she works from 8 to 12. And that is 4 hours. That's like a lot of time that you could be spending on your art. And if you do that every single day, of course, you have other appointments. That's, you calculate that in, but there's a rhythm to it. There's structure to it. And you can get a lot done. And maybe that's not possible in your situation. Then it's like 2 hours a week. Where can you plan in those 2 hours? It's about getting really intentional and using those nuggets of time. Another question also related, I get easily distracted and can't stick to my plans. I think beside this COVID and everything that's coming at it, that there's another pandemic that we all have to deal with in this time, and that is distractions. That there is so much coming at us also with social media, so much that we're reading about, so many things that are so emotional that we need to deal with a lockdown, with all restrictions, that it can be very distracting. I found it very difficult in the beginning of this pandemic to really focus on things. I really had to make choices. This I'm going to be doing, this I'm not going to be doing, and really get hone down what's important to me. And I found a distraction can only be a distraction if you know what you're being distracted from. So if you don't know what you're being distracted from. It's not really a distraction because you're just doing what you're doing. If you binge watching a Netflix series and you've got nothing else planned, it's not really distracting because you don't know what you should be doing, but what you would have been doing with your time. So getting really clear what you want, and you want to make that body of work, you want to have things finished, so being really clear about what you do want, then you can see when you're being distracted and how you're being distracted, and you can start doing something about it. And there can be many reasons for being distracted. We want to have that safe zone. If we hit like a block because we're unsure about a technique or it's not working, you have something in your mind, this is what I want to express, this is the art I want to make, or this is the color I want to use, and it's not working, then we usually get distracted and our phones become very attractive, and we get to all kinds of things except what we're supposed to be doing because we've hit a block, we've hit a challenge. And it's for you to get an understanding of why you're being distracted and what can you do about it and where are you going. So when you know where you're going, you can take steps to get there, and you'll get an understanding of why you are not going to your studio or going to your workplace or not finishing pieces or not getting that art made and done. So it's also about getting really introspective, what is going on there, and then doing something about it. Setting up routines really helps. Projects that are manageable, don't set your standards so high. It's like, I make 50 art pieces by the end of the year. It might not succeed. It might just be overreaching your goals, and then you get distracted, you get disappointed, and then it doesn't work. So setting realistic goals is also important. But I have a resource that's called From Distractions to Traction, little hacks that you can use to keep your focus. And you can head over to my website. It's soniasmallhair.com/hacks. And there's a worksheet that you can go through to identify where you're being distracted and what do you need to get more focused. Hopefully that'll help you and answer your questions. Hello, Zolfakwa. Nice that you're joining us. Also, the people that are now watching, so welcome. Please feel free to use that comment area. And next question. How can I sell my work outside of my immediate friends and family? Those are our loyal buyers, and usually our first buyers, that first concentric circle, is our friends and family. They love what you're doing. They're your cheerleaders, and they are investing as you are starting out in your art career. But that's not where you want to end up. You want to nurture further in that concentric circle outside of friends and family. Now, friends and family know people, so it's not like, okay, dismiss them, but you want to be aware that there's circles outside of that. And it's also, if you just look at social media, who are you following? Who's following you? And are you giving them enough reason to follow you? This is also with question number 1, that you can't connect with your art audience. The OMA, the offer, the marketing, and the audience, where is it out of sync? Are you communicating in the right way so that the people that would be resonating with your work, is it reaching? Is the message coming across? So do that, look at that that triangle and see, where can you change your messaging, follow different people, using different hashtags, getting more intentional about sending newsletters not only to your friends and family, but sending your newsletter to people that are actually interested in your art. And then ask them to share. You can also ask your friends and family to share, because they are, your first cheerleaders. So write a letter. Look, I'm starting out. I'm taking a new step. I've developed a body of work. Please, could you share this with your friends? Do you know of anyone that would be interested? So you can grow your email list that way, very organically, with people that already know what you're doing. But this is a challenge, also getting the right people on your website, the right people on your social feeds, the right people engaging with your art. And that all has to do with those 3 things: your offer, marketing, and audience. Is there a list of Instagram hashtags that I could endorse? Just, I'm really curious. Hi, Anya. Good that you could join. Better late than never. Good that you found the time to join. Great. You are welcome. Who of you use Instagram hashtags? So who adds hashtags to their Insta posts? Give me a yes or give me a no. Who uses hashtags on their posts, in their posts, when you're posting? On the feed, in the stories, in your reels? The letter says yes. Zofika says yes. Namika says no. Nadia says yes. Anya says I do. Okay. Who of you use hashtags to filter and to search for other artists or for relative information? Who of you are using hashtags to filter information as an index or as a directory? Give me a yes or a no. Celine says, yes, all 30 of them. You are just making the most of that space. And Annemieke says, yeah, I used to, but I don't know why I stopped. So good question. I get this asked quite a bit. So do you actually use hashtags to search? So you're an active hashtag user, not just post, you're not posting them, but you're using them. Liesel says yes. Self-Qua says no, no. Maja says I do. And Tanya no. Celine says yes, yes. So it's a bit 50-50. Hashtag is quite a mystery. I'm not the hashtag expert. I have done some research. I've tried different things. And I think that really is key too, because it depends on so many variables. The size of your following, who is it that you want to reach, but it's there. And Instagram has given us the opportunity to add a filter. So you're adding a tag, you're adding a filter, you're adding some kind of word to your posting so that people could find you in different ways. So it's there. Why don't we use it? And you just need to know, how are you going to be using it? So I found this a great question. Just some tips to help you along the way, that we get an understanding of how it works. And it just comes by trial and error, trying things out and using it intentionally. I don't know about you. Usually when I'm posting, I'm in a hurry and I just want to get it over. It's like, okay, add a couple of those hashtags and we'll just see. But that's not a very clever way of strategically posting, because you want to use hashtags so that people start interacting with your content, start coming onto your feed, start seeing your work. It'll give you a little bit of, those little hooks that people can connect and engage with you. So it is so worth doing it right. So having an understanding that you can add these hashtags so that people can find you. Now you have very large hashtags like you see here on the left-hand side. Artist has 229 million posts. So that is a huge hashtag to be able to really, get attention with that hashtag. It's going to take a miracle, or you need to have thousands or millions of followers so that you liking your posts, because that's you. The more people like your post, the more higher you're ranking in those hashtags. So it's the question, do you want to be that small fish in the big pond? On the other hand, I looked up Dutch artists, and they're all under 20,000 or under 100 or 200,000. So my tip would be is to go broad. So add some of those larger hashtags, because you have 30. I don't know if you want to use all 30. You want to also be sensitive that it doesn't look like you're spamming all the time. But Celine, maybe you have different experiences here. You have 30, so I mean, you can use the 30. But if, just see how that works with your public. I say, at least 3 to 10 you can use, but use them strategically. So you add some broad ones, because you never know who's looking and who's scrolling and who's following hashtag artist or following, fine artist, portrait artist, figurative artist, contemporary artist. They're all huge hashtags. You can look, as if you're filling in hashtags, you can see how many people are actually following and actively using that hashtag. And then I would also narrow it. So use local hashtags, hashtags that have under 100,000 hits and over 300. You don't want to go too low when no one is following. That means it's not a very active hashtag. So over 300, I would say 500, and then under 100,000. Those are smaller hashtags. And the chances are far larger, especially if you not have that following yet, to be ranked, so that you're not way down at the bottom, that no one sees your work, but you come up um, more more visible in the feed. So using those broad and the narrow, and then depending on the size of your audience, if you have a larger following, 20, 30, 40,000 followers, of course there are more people engaging with posts, so you will be ranked higher. So that, especially if you're starting out, don't start with a huge hashtag, the broader, go more narrow. And then find hashtags that exemplify what you're doing. So make it descriptive, brainstorm, write down words, look at the people that are also working in your genre, in your segment, your style, your level of experience. What hashtags are they using? And then what is your audience using? So think of who, that's getting clear about your audience. What hashtags would they be searching? Just think of yourself. What would you be searching if you were looking for yourself? And write down, brainstorm, and then make a Google Doc or do a notes on your computer. Have them ready so you can copy and paste, and then you can look on your statistics. If you have a business account on Instagram, you can see how many likes are coming onto a post through a hashtag. You can see the hashtag, all the different specifics, and you can see, okay, so that hashtag is really working well. Then you can note that and say, okay, I must add that to my posting. So it's trying things out. And of course, you can add hashtags to your stories. There's a button on the different possibilities of mentioning and location. There's also the hashtag. Use that, and you can create your own hashtag. Can you create something that's uniquely you, so that you can have people, because people follow hashtags, they follow and then they get notification, you come up in their feed. So can you develop your own hashtag that you add to every single post, to your Insta story, that it really becomes part of your branding? That could be an effective way to use it. So it's a very big subject. I could spend a whole afternoon talking about the algorithms and the hashtags, but definitely something to use, something that you can have to filter your information. If any of you that are watching have a hashtag that you think, okay, this is what I'm using and it's really effective, please add it in the comments. I don't know if any of you have that anything springs to mind. Then add it in the comments, because we can all learn from each other from those hashtags. What is the best way to get subscribers on YouTube and followers on IG? Make content that's worth following. That's first and foremost. Give people reasons to follow you. So be intentional about what you're posting on your IG, what you're posting on your YouTube. That's a given. So give them reason to follow you. And then you can use your different channels to bring people to those platforms. So if you have chosen a strategy, and it's all about choices, are you going to take people to your website? So you have your profile description and your website is there. You want people traffic to your website because that's where your shop is. That's where your blog is. That's where you want people engaging with your art. Then you're going to take the traffic from social to your website. Or maybe you've chosen a strategy that you want to take people from your social channels. So like you have an IG post, you find it important that people go to your YouTube channel. So in this case, how do you get subscribers to your YouTube? Make it very intentional when you're communicating. So when you're writing a newsletter, you're explicitly telling people, I have a new post on YouTube. I have a new post on Instagram, and then with a hyperlink so people can go directly, so they don't get lost in the whole search. They are going, you make it very intentional. That's where you want people to go. That's also on your communication with icons, everything that you communicate, and you're bringing people to your YouTube. Of course, there's a possibility to advertise. You can have people join you that way. But I found that having that relationship, so it's not about the amount of followers, because you can have a lot of people that are following you, but actually don't engage with your content, is to build a community around the things that you're doing. So communicating on your social, on your website, through your newsletter, and then using those channels to inform, inspire, educate, and to promote and sell your work. An artist that does that really well, I think he's from California, Kisu. He's chosen that strategy. He's a charcoal portrait artist, caricature, and his strategy is YouTube, because he wants to demonstrate the process of him sketching. So there's no link to a website. His website is YouTube. That's where he's engaging with his audience. And so with every portrait, there's a video. So he's made a video. It's still on a tripod, and it's the process from beginning to end. You see the whole time lapse of him drawing. That's an intentional strategy. Maybe that's something that you could be using. So it's not on thousands of platforms, not on all different, places. It's on YouTube. So he has a, huge YouTube following, and I know, he could earn revenue through advertising, because that it definitely is a way that you can generate income, because especially if you have a large following. So this is something I wanted to show you, that you can use it very intentionally. It has a downside. That's what I teach my students too. If you just are building your business on your social channels, there is a level of vulnerability, because you don't know what these channels are going to be doing in a few years. They might close, they might change, there might be a scam, there might be some kind of scandal, and they'll be off air. And then, so I think to have your social very clear, but also building up your own database, your own connection with the newsletter and with your website is wisdom, so that you can sort of have both, as long as you're doing that intentionally. Okay, so if you do have hashtags, you can add them. Any tips, please put them in the comments. What's been working for you? How do I sell my art prints and products? I don't seem to attract the right buyers. So this is something that is reoccurring. They're all looking for the right people. Let's start with, how do I sell my art prints and products? There are different channels. You can have third-party platforms. You can, of course, use your website. You can use Instagram. You can use Facebook. They all have buy now buttons. If there's a shop possibility, or you can add plugins onto your WordPress site. So, there are lots of potential platforms and opportunities for you to be selling. And also in person, that's all going to be happening soon again, that the shops are going to be opening up. So that's for you to decide what's the best way to do it. But as long as you're doing it very strategically, and I wanted to highlight Rachel Tenelach. She's a friend and an artist from the States, from Boise, Idaho, and she has very intentionally used Etsy. And I know there's a lot of misgivings about Etsy, that it really is degrading, or, it's not for the serious artist. It's not, it's a platform where there's a lot of makers, there are a lot of creators, there's all different kinds of products, from jewelry to, soap making, but it is a huge platform. And she's used this very cleverly. She's made a name, Tiny Expanse. It's like a brand outside of her name. She's a fine artist. She's a contemporary landscape painter. So that's her big passion. That's what she loves to do. But she came to the conclusion that she's not going to finance her big passion just by her art, especially when she just started out. She needed to have other revenue streams. That's what I said at the beginning of the Q&A. She needed to have something that was going to support her big passion. And so she started these daily painting challenges. Started making smaller works. They were quicker to make. Every day she'd make a painting, post it on Instagram, good description, good hashtags, and also put it into her Etsy shop. So through the years, she really got an audience that understood her work, were looking forward to her work. They knew it was going to be coming regularly. And she sold many, many works through her Etsy platform. So maybe that's something for you to consider. Putting a brand out there that's more low end, quicker sales, but building up your community, because now she says that supports her larger passion. So she doesn't have the pressure, and she's a mom of two small children, so she needs to have use her time well. Now she has the income stream. She really can support her art career by all that she's selling on this Etsy platform, and she can have time and really just focus. And she's hired someone to do that whole thing. She's now can support not only herself but also an assistant that does all the reproduction, sells packages, puts it in tubes, sends it all over the world, and that is supporting her big passion. So selling, just depending on where you're focusing on, if that's your main stream of revenue. I also know artists, by the way, who never sell original works. All the original works are archived, and they've chosen as a strategy just to sell reproductions. Does that make them less of an artist? No, it's a clever strategy because they make limited editions, or they have open editions of reproductions of the originals, and they can always repurpose their original pieces. It stays with the artist. That is a strategy that you can use. So connecting with the right audience. Where are your potential buyers? Where would they be selling? What price range are you going to make? High quality glisses, so they're reproductions that are high quality. They're more expensive. That'll be a different audience than maybe something on paper that's easily reproduced, and it's not limited or open. There's not a limited edition, which is more expensive. So really finding your way and finding your niche of your audience. All right. Besides my fine art, I also sell products. Do I use the same name or create another website or Insta account with my products? And I think just going back to Rachel in the previous slide, she split the two, because you want to be clear in your communication. And if you're finding that there's a conflict with the price range, so that you have your painting of 4,000 euros on your website, and then there's a face mask with the print on it and it's like 4 euros, that's going to be very difficult to put in one shop, because there's a different customer coming for that fine art piece, that the exclusive, it's more the gallery experience than the shopping experience where there are a lot of products. So if that is part of your plan, that you want to have the high end, put that under your name, or a different name, and then you can just have your products just like Rachel does on Etsy. It's by Rachel, but she has a different name, so that it doesn't become unclear for your audience. And then of course you can bring people from your low end to your high end, because usually they will start growing with you. So yeah, there's wisdom, but it takes more work because you need to manage 2 accounts, and that doesn't make it easier. I feel like I'm living on an island. I feel isolated. Does anyone really want to see my art? And I think that many of you can relate, think, yeah, well, who's waiting for my art? And you feel isolated, especially in this lockdown time. You haven't had the eyes, the ears, the interaction, the moments, of maybe having an exhibition or working in collaboration with others, that you really can feel like, who is waiting for my work? Or when you're starting out, you're really insecure. Who wants to engage with my art? And I think so much of what we're doing is mindset, of really getting into the right headspace and heart space about your art. Because how you feel about your art is going to reflect on how you communicate, how you post, how you write, how you share, how you talk, how you price. It all has to do the way how you're thinking. So my advice really would be to connect. There's a lot possible also online with the right people. Work with an art coach, work with supportive people, get people around you that really believe in what you're doing, so they can cheer you on, so that you can feel supported, and get into that place that what you have to share is worthy. You don't have to compare. Also put those blinkers on. Don't spend all your time on Instagram looking at other wonderful artists, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of artists out there. There's a lot out there, and there'll always be someone better than you, and there'll be always someone more skilled who's selling more work, have more Insta followers. That's a given. I think that's just, we need to accept that. But you are you. You have your voice, you have your message, you have your point of vision. How are you going to share that generously? Because there are people who are waiting for your work. So really want to encourage you, get into that headspace, heart space, that you can start giving, and not just thinking, limit, because you're limiting yourself, and that would be such a pity. How do I know if I'm ready to work with a gallery? So we have the gallery representation possibility. Of course, that's wonderful. They do the marketing, they do the promoting, they have the network, they have the art buyers in their database. So they're taking a lot of that work. You can just make your art and then have the representation. Of course, they ask for a commission. They're doing a lot for you. I know artists who have had wonderful experiences with gallerists and other that have had hair-raising negative experiences. They're gallerists are people. Some of them are just, have different motivations. Others are really are nurturing and have relationship with their artists. So there's a lot to be said there. But gallerists have an important role. They really have the expert status. They can inform art audiences. This is good art. This is elevated. This is at a skill level that's worthy of a price. So they take that role as the expert status. And of course, you have the route where you self-represent. And I think a lot of you're doing Insta, you're doing your social media websites, you're representing yourself. You are the gallerist, actually. But how do you know if you are ready to take that step to work with a gallery? And I think that has a lot to do with developing your eye and getting really having that critique moment. Find people that are mentors, teachers that you really look up to, that maybe have spoken into your life, that understand your art, that can have a look. And so that's the first step, being open for people to see. Have you matured to a level that it's gallery worthy? So that's a good step. And then if you think, okay, now I feel confident, and it'll never be perfect. They always will have that apprehension, I'm sure, because it's a big step working with galleries, is to understand the vision of the gallery and what gallery would suit your work, and have you made consistent work? That's what they're looking for in an artist. This is Tanya Refeles. She's originally from Russia, but works and lives in Germany. And I've added her to this presentation because an art gallerist that we're working with, David van der Lende, is a teacher in the course of the Working Artist course. I asked him how he looks for potential artists for his gallery. And he says, he loves Instagram. He uses Instagram a lot to look for artists because, gallerists are on Insta, curators on Insta. So make that Insta space count. This is really a powerful tool for artists. And he's been following Tanya for 6 years. He said 6 years he spontaneously found her. He looked at the feed and he found her. Don't know if someone shared or someone, that he's looked at a hashtag, but he was interested in what she was doing, and she was just starting out to more develop at the beginning of her career. And he said, I just watched her. So this is through the eye of the gallerist. He watched her. He said, was she making consistent work? Did he see growth? Did he see a maturity? Did he see consistency also in subject matter? Could he see himself representing her, that he would feel safe for representing her, but also that would be the best fit for his gallery, so that her work would actually shine in his space. So it's a relationship. This took 6 years, and then finally last year they had contact, and there was her first solo exhibition at the gallery. And now she's being represented by Arcadia in New York. So she's gone a step further. She had the exposure in the Netherlands. She really, and I know she's been represented by other places, but Arcadia is now representing her in New York. This is downtown New York. This is a very prestigious gallery. So it's a step-by-step thing. So maybe you're starting off in local galleries, then you go more national, then you go more international as you mature and making your work, but getting a really real perspective on where you are, having an understanding and being honest. Okay, this is the level of my work. Doesn't mean that you are ready now, but you could be ready. You can make yourself ready. You can develop. You can become skilled. You can become a better observer, a better translator of information that you want to bring out into the world. If you're thinking of gallery representation, get an understanding of the gallery world. Every gallery has a vision. Some are more figurative, some are more abstract, some are more contemporary, some are more, do more landscapes. So get an understanding of the galleries around you, say within a 100-kilometer, 50-mile radius. What galleries are there? Look online. What's their vision? Who's in charge? Are they writing blogs? Are they writing information so that you understand and look at it through the eyes of the gallery? And then have a look also at a lot of gallery websites. I know this Arcadia gallery has now a virtual exhibition. So you can go through the whole exhibition virtually on your computer, and then you can walk around their spaces. You can see, what is the level, what kind of art are they representing. So it really gives you valuable information. You don't even have to go to New York. You can do it right there to have an understanding of that world so that you can see if that's your best fit. So hopefully that answers your question. And then we have Ken Goshon, just an inspiring artist who's already active also on Instagram. So follow along. And I just wanted to, and he uses Patreon, which is you can have patrons that sponsor you, that really are enthralled with what you're doing. They're fans and they pay you, they become your patrons. So I don't know if any of you are using Patreon. Just give me a yes or give me a no if you're using Patreon, because that really is can be a great platform to generate a revenue stream, because there are, it's like a membership. They pay a certain amount, and there's different tiers. There's a low end tier, middle, high end tier, and they support you because they love what you're doing. And there could be like a trade in that, but it's also worth looking at. So look at Ken. He's diversified. He's got a podcast. He's working with Patreon, so that gives him that source of revenue, and he gives teaching lessons. He's very active online. He uses a lot of hashtags. So have a look at artists that inspire you. What are they doing? People that are doing it successfully, and learn from that. And also, if you are wanting to sell your art, become an art buyer. I don't know if you have part of your income, part of your revenue that you are buying art, because that's how you also start understanding, looking through the eye of a buyer. And of course, you need a budget for it, but it's also a mindset. So if you want to be supported as an artist, start supporting artists, start collecting art, start building up your body of work that you are supporting other artists, so that you are getting into that frame of mind. Annemieke says, no, but I do support other artists through Patreon. Great, Annemieke, good to hear. So have a look at the website. That is definitely a possibility. Also, just want to open the comment area for you. If you have artists that you are following, that you think these are really inspiring artists, maybe in your genre, put their URLs or their name in the comment area. So start looking at art. That really develops your eye. It develops seeing what you like, what you don't like, your taste level, and you can start seeing, okay, where do you fit in this journey? Because we are all on a journey. We all are different places, and this is a never-ending journey. There'll never be the end. There's the start of your art career, but there's never the end of your art career, because you'll always be learning, and you have that attitude of learning, and you're open to develop and learn and grow. Then you are going to see transformation also in your art business. Okay, thank you. I see Annemieke put some in there. And you can watch the replay of the session, because I see Zolfka, you have questions, put in the comments. The slides, everything, you can look again in the Facebook community. So you can go through everything again, because I know we covered a lot. So in closing, I'll let you have your Wednesday afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully this has been inspiring and informative. And please connect with me. This is my website where you find information about what I'm doing. Coaching sessions are possible. You can say, I really want someone to look at my artist website, or I really want someone to look at my body of work, to have, a review, to say, what level am I? What steps can I take to improve? How can I, take steps in my art business? I have many courses that are come out regularly, master classes. I have the my signature course, The Working Artist, which has started now in March and will be going live again in 2022. That you can prepare yourself so that you can become grow, mature as an artist, but also establish your art business, feel free to join the waitlist so that I can keep you informed and help you get prepared for the course, which starts again in 2022. So you'll have a few months to get ready, maybe to save, to get the course fees together, so that you have perspective, so that you can grow and develop, and it doesn't just happen magically. It's something that you must do with intent and start taking steps so that you grow as an artist, but also in your art business. Okay, guys, next time we'll have another Q&A session. I'm in the group regularly, so please, if you're new to this community, you're most welcome to share your work, share ideas. If you have tips, or you're thinking, oh, I just saw this amazing exhibition, throw it in the group. This really is a dynamic, inspiring community where we're going to help each other become the best creatives, the best possible artists that we could be, in a happy and a healthy way. So please use that space. You are most welcome. Thank you, Karina, Annemieke, Selena, Heidi, Zofka, Monica, everyone that was here. Thank you, Anya, all of you. Can't say all of your names, but thank you for being here. And see you again next time. And throw questions. If I didn't get all the questions, throw them in the comments. We can look at them in the next session. Have a great afternoon, and enjoy making your art, creativity, whatever you're busy with. And I'll see you next time. All right, guys. Bye.